Be a man now on our show for a little while, and it has been getting such great traction amongst our listeners. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So Tara, tell us a little bit about the story behind this song, because I've read the story, but I'm sure our listeners out there would love to hear the story from you that actually sparked this track in the first place.
Yeah, sure. Well, so as a bartender, waitress, like when we're not playing shows, like it is what it is. We're independent, so that's where the money is really coming from. I was bartending, and this guy comes in wasted with his pregnant wife, and then I don't know if it was his mother or mother-in-law, anyway, and he's being so rude, and he orders a beer, and I'm like, well, no, sorry, I can't serve you, sir. And he's slurring already, and then he gets mad, and then I said, well, I'm sorry, like if we were in France, honestly, I would serve you gladly, but I don't make the laws here, so no can do. And he starts getting mad, and he starts like getting attention from like everyone who's around, because he's just giving me a hard time. And then at the time I had two jobs, so I was also a barista somewhere else, and his friend comes, and I happen to serve him in the morning, and he goes, oh, but she's cool, she'll give you a beer, she serves my coffee in the morning. And I'm like, I'm not giving him a fucking beer. And then the guy goes, okay, well, let me talk to your boss. Obviously, my boss is a man, and he goes, yeah, Tara, just serve him. I'm like, no, fucking no. And it's not a pride thing. It's just like, I'm not gonna get in trouble for this. So it's your fucking bar. If you wanted the responsibility, then you serve him, and then it's your table. It's all of this, And that was it, for a while. Even though every time I looked at them, he would just he would just drink his beer, like really slowly, with, like looking at me at the same time. I'm like, dude, you're such a fucking amateur,
Yep.
Like, it's not personal, dude. It's not personal. The next day, I go to my barista job, and then that customer that I serve in the morning goes, you probably don't get this because you're French, but he happens to be someone who's pretty important, to us. And I'm like, okay, like it would change anything. And then he shows me a picture, and I guess he was a very important military guy and war hero or something like that. And I said, so why should I serve him? That doesn't change to me, But so supposedly, started with that story, but then it's also like adding to the fact that, like there are a lot of situations like that where, like, I don't know if it's hard to talk about these things, because we've had a few interviews and reviews where people don't really understand the message, and they think that it's a gender song, you know what I mean? Where we're like, we have nothing against men, you understand that, right? So I'm just like choosing my words now, because, it's we don't want to give the wrong impression, obviously, but, it's just, the same scenario, if it was a woman who was wasted, I think would not have gone the same way, is what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And we've had big programs here in Australia where if somebody sees somebody being full on to somebody who works in the service industry, other people will step in. We see it quite often here, and it's really funny because when the message first started to get spread out here in Australia, it was the message of, oh, if you see a man being abusive towards somebody, step in. But then all these people that worked in stores came out and said, hang on a minute, you do realize that it's about 50-50. 50% of the time I get abused serving somebody, it's a woman that's abusing me as well. So they actually changed the entire program that they were putting together and just said, if you see somebody, we call them Karens and Trevors in this country. If you see a Karen or a Trevor being full on for someone in the service industry, step in. So
It's true. It's true. It's unfortunately you have to. I mean, you know, like the few examples that I had were, you know, mostly like another one was when we were actually Coco and I were like getting food, and then this like probably like 18-year-old girl like was being harassed by all of her coworkers in front of everyone, and no one said anything. And then finally it's my turn, and I'm like, do you guys know that this is sexual harassment, right? And then silence, you know, because they were daring each other to touch her butt.
Yep.
And she kept saying no, and they kept doing it because they thought it was fun. But the point was, basically, when does it stop? Like, these kids are going to grow older thinking that it's fine, but it is not fine. And then they're not going to understand why suddenly they're going to get in a bigger problem when they're, like, in their 30s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
And that's what supposedly a man is about. So I took that story, but then it actually is more about, like, the what they say in the U.S., you know, boys will be boys, where, you know, it's also education, you know, and it's important to tell, not that I have a kid, but tell the next generation that, you know, like there's, you know, playing around with the opposite sex or whatever, but there you need to know when to stop.
Definitely.
You know?
And Coralie, what did you think when Tarah first came to you with this idea for a track?
Sorry?
What was your thoughts when Tarah first came to you with this idea for a track?
So actually, Tarah made the demo for each song before sending it to me. So she plays all the instrument and everything. So I have to say that I never really pay attention too much of the lyrics. For me, more like the groove and everything. But yeah, I mean, Tarah mostly talk about experiences that she had or that she sees around her, and I think it's a topic that needs to be talked about, you know.
Definitely. And Tarah, everybody that's hearing the track on our show is coming back to us with stories of things that have happened to them. Have you found the same where you are, that people have heard the song and then they've come back to you with stories about what's happened to them?
Oh my God, that is, I would love to, is that like, how do they say, like, is that like written, or is it like?
Oh, we've had phone calls, we've had social media comments, just about everything, yep.
Oh my gosh, would you share that with me?
Yeah, definitely, yep.
No, well, so the answer is no. We haven't had anyone. No, we don't know. It's actually kind of funny because we don't really, we put things out there and then we just hope for the best, and, you know, we're trying to push as much as we can, the tracks and the album, and we don't really know what the response is and the effect, really. So that's pretty amazing to hear that, actually.
Yeah. And the other feedback we get, Coralie, as well, is people are asking, is this part of something bigger? Will there be an EP or an album down the track as well?
So this track is part of an album that came out, like, I think a week after we released the music video. But we have new songs. We're writing new songs right now, and we have a new song coming out on December 17th that I think people might like. They call it stoner rock, so I don't know where that comes from. but I hope people like this song, because I'm really excited about this song, and Coco is pretty excited about this song, and she never really shares her feelings, so.
Well, this is for both of you, I guess. To finish off the interview, we're going to play Supposedly a Man once again on the show. What would you like to say to everybody out there before they take a listen to the track again? Coralie, I'll start with you. What would you like to say to everybody?
Well, actually, thank you for listening to the songs. It's really awesome, and I really hope that we will be able to come to Australia soon. So hopefully we'll see some of you there.
Awesome. We would love that. And Tara, what would you like to say to all the listeners out there?
Same thing. Thank you to the listeners. Thank you for relating and then expressing yourselves. So that there's more awareness. And thank you, Dave, for having us. And gosh, we would love to come to Australia and play some shows, and just come to Australia. Period.
We